What's up, runners? We are here at the new year 2020, if you can believe it. And I am here to give you guys my 4 best New Year's resolutions for the overweight runner. Now, if you're someone who has struggled in the past with identifying a good New Year's resolution or just getting back on track in general, maybe you used to run or you used to love it and now you can't find your groove again, these resolutions were designed for you. Now, one thing I want to talk about here is you've come to this video and you've come back to this question around New Year's resolutions because you care. There is something out there that you really want, but you haven't yet achieved. So let's get past that this year. Let's find something you can definitely handle in this new year. What I want you to start with is making a big list. First list is going to be your biggest, most badass goals. Those are going to be, doesn't matter how long it takes, these are the things you want to accomplish. This can be physical or non. Write those down first. The second list I want you to make is going to be one of things you can definitely do in a year. I am going to prefer that this list is a little bit more related to the running side of things, though we can chat other New Year's resolutions later, and you're going to make that list there. If you are struggling with how to identify a concrete goal that you can definitely accomplish in a given amount of time, this video is for you because I'm giving you 4 exact goals around running, specifically for people who are overweight, and we're going to make sure you get them done. That first one we're going to jump into is running your first mile. Running your first mile is a big deal. Ask any runner out there who has accomplished this. There is no feeling quite like it. It is such an accomplishment happening all in one day, all in one moment. It's this thing you never thought you could do, and suddenly here you are having accomplished it. And I want that for you guys if you've never felt it before. It can happen this year. Now, more goes into this first mile than you'd think. There are 3 main areas I like to focus on, and I like to get specific with those because I know that if you accomplish them, you will get to that first mile. The first one being building endurance and athleticism. This is just going to be the overall ability of your body to actually push through for that mile, from start to finish to get through. Being able to breathe, sustain, keep moving, keep that heart rate in check, building that ability right there. The second thing is going to be the breathing specifically. How can you use the right breathing technique, those deep inhales to fill up the stomach, to control the heart rate and keep you feeling like you're not going to die through that first mile. It's amazing how much the breathing technique itself can help. The last thing, guys, is going to be your run form. This might feel pretty small and unnecessary right now, but your run form is a huge line of defense you have against injury. And what I mean by that is if you just go out and slog along doing whatever form you feel is comfortable at the time, you're not thinking about the habits that you're practicing. So just like when you sit in a chair all day at your desk, in the car, whatever, if you run like that, you never stretch out, you never practice that strength work and getting that nice tall upright position for your runs, you're going to run with poor form, and eventually those bad habits are going to lead to injury. I know this is all sounding like a huge mouthful right now, but luckily for you, I made a video on how to run your first mile. Very specific instruction. I have workouts in there. I'm going to drop the link down below. And I also made a video on beginner run form. Head to toe, I go through everything you need to know, how to implement it in that very next workout. And between those 2, you will definitely accomplish this first mile. All right, resolution idea number 2 is going to be getting your first push-up. And I'm talking about a real freaking push-up. This is not going to be on the knees, arms out, winged, whatever you've done in your classes before just to get through a bunch of push-ups. This is going to be a real legitimate push-up that's going to benefit you. Before I show you how you're going to accomplish that, I want to talk about what the value of a push-up is. This is one of the most beneficial full body movements you could possibly do. It requires you to start in a plank position, move your entire body weight down to the ground, and come back up again, only using your body. This is not just upper body movement. This works your lower body, your glutes, your core. All of those things matter because you're essentially having to deal with your own body weight, making it so that when you're standing up, when you're running, when you're doing anything else, you know how to access all of those muscles and defend. This is basically, like I said before, a line of defense against poor run form, poor habits, and injury itself. So let's talk about that push-up here. I'm going to walk you guys through a few modifications, and then after that we're going to go into a small workout you can use over the next few months to practice and accomplish that full push-up. So the first thing you're going to do, put your hands right under your shoulders. You're going to first engage your abs, so you're just going to pull your belly into your spine here and walk those feet back. You're going to squeeze the legs together, butt is tight, like you're pinching a piece of paper right back there, and you're gonna drop the shoulders away from the ears. So I'm not hiked up like this, I'm not dropping the head, I'm totally neutral, chin is right in line with the spine. From here, the first modification, you're just gonna drop the knees down to the mat, but everything else stays the same. So I'm gonna show you that again. I go up to the plank, just dropping down to the knees. Next thing I'm gonna do is with the elbows staying into my sides, I'm just gonna lay down on the mat, coming all the way down here, letting the chest touch. Now I'm gonna refine that engagement in the abs because I probably lost a little bit. So I'm gonna pull those abs into my spine here, pulling that low belly in, squeeze the butt again, take a nice deep breath. And now what I'm gonna do is press off the knees, lifting my chest, and then press off the knees to find that plank again. Again, I go down on the knees, elbows in, chest comes off, and knees. And now I'm gonna show you guys from the front because that is also important. Just to understand that you need to have this position worked in from the shoulders before you even start practicing this push-up. So I just want to show you that when the hands are right under the shoulders and you come down when the knees first, I want you to keep the elbows in like this. They're not splayed out. We see a lot of push-ups like this just to get them done. And what that's doing, maybe it's getting you close to the ground, or it is working the chest, it is working certain muscles, but it's having you practice that rounded shouldered position. We're never gonna use that when we run and do other things. We want a nice, smooth arm swing like this. We're working in line. We're also protecting the shoulders by keeping the elbows in. Honestly, it's a little bit harder that way too, and we wanna be the strongest athlete we can. Now, I have found that the best way to accomplish this push-up is by working it into a workout that you're going to tackle week after week. So seeing yourself come back to the same thing is a good way to build confidence because you watch it get easier. This is definitely gonna happen if you stick with it, I guarantee it. So the workout you're gonna do today consists of 4 movements. It's just gonna take you 10 minutes, and honestly, it's gonna help build that athleticism that's gonna help you accomplish that push-up as well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna set that 10-minute clock, and here are the 4 movements you're going to do repeatedly until the 10 minutes is up. The first thing is going to be a set of shoulder taps. This is actually one of my favorite tools to use to build that push-up and that upper body strength in the first place. What you're gonna do is find that plank position, right like we did for the beginning of the push-up. But this time I'm gonna have you guys go a little wider with the feet, take a big inhale, and what you're gonna do is just tap opposite shoulder with opposite hand. Like this. I'm gonna face you to show. Hands are right under, feet go wider for stability, and my chin is neutral, so I'm just looking down at the ground. I'm just tapping opposite shoulders. What I'm not doing is twisting like this. What you're actually asking yourself to do with those shoulder taps is engage the obliques, keep your core stable, keep the butt tight, and just create a little instability to force yourself to hold that position. 20 shoulder taps is that first movement. After that, you're going into a simple set of walking lunges. For the walking lunge, you're gonna stand nice and tall in place. You're gonna squeeze the butt here. And I'm gonna have you just step out to find that lunge. Don't go too low at first. We're looking for that knee to not go past the toe, but stay right on top, nice and vertical. You come down, I'm gonna press out of that heel and step back together. Out with the other side, back together. Another way you can do this is actually moving forward rather than in place, so it really is a walking lunge. You'll lose me for a second, but you'll see me come through the frame. I go down in the lunge and I come together and I keep moving forward. Come together, you can do that. You're doing 10 alternating lunges there. There is more detail to those lunges. We have lots of tips on the channel, but that's the gist of that movement. The third thing you're doing is 20 jumping jacks. You're going to stand in place here, squeeze everything nice and tight. You're noticing a theme. Take a deep breath, and you're gonna just find a simple jumping jack here. Tapping the toes to the top. On the ground, you're kissing the ground with the heels, but you're not landing heavy, and you're definitely not staying up on the toes. We don't wanna tighten those calves for no reason. So from the side, it looks like this. Again, still trying to be in touch with those abs staying on. I'm not totally loose here. I'm also practicing that tall position. 20 of those. The last thing you're gonna do is a set of those 10 modified push-ups. So depending on whatever version you're on, you go up to that plank position, whatever you need to do to get through 10. Knees to chest, chest to knees, that's one option. You can go strict down, press off the knees, or you can go knees down, come up strict. Once eventually you get through all those modifications, you're gonna go into that strict push-up for 10. Now this workout is that 10-minute clock. You go through the 20 shoulder taps, the 20 jumping jacks, the 20 lunges, I reversed those, but 20 lunges, 20 jumping jacks, and those 10 modified push-ups, or the real ones once you get to it. You keep going through that cycle for the 10 minutes, resting if you need to, make sure you have that water nearby. Now, say that push-up is starting to feel a little bit easier, that modified version is starting to feel a little more doable. I challenge you, even after just a few weeks, to make it a bit harder, because you're not gonna accomplish this strict push-up unless you keep challenging yourself to get to that next stage. So say that modified version's getting easy, this is what you're gonna do next. Starting the same way, you're gonna put those hands right under the shoulders, pop up to that plank. Again, you guys know the drill, belly button in, butt squeezed. And now I'm gonna put the knees down, as I did before, chest goes down, but I'm gonna engage and straighten my legs down here to come up strict. So again, I can come down, but I'm gonna re-engage and straighten rather than press off the knees, and I'm gonna press up in one piece. What I'm not doing is arching and doing this. That's not the point. That's basically a worse version of the modified one. The other option you have here too, if the lowering is easier for you, you'll go down strict, squeeze everything, lay down, re-engage, and then you can press off the knees to get back. Lower down strict, press off. So I see people have different issues. Either the lowering is harder or the pushing off is harder, so find which one it is, but erase the modification on the other half of that movement and practice in that way. Of course, guys, that third final version is your strict push-up. I'm gonna start in that plank position, squeeze, keep everything as tight as I possibly can. This is when I say it really is a full body movement. Keep everything in line. I'm gonna keep those elbows tucked, come an inch above the ground, and right there I re-engage, come up. Down, and up. One more for good measure. Down, and up. You're gonna be here at this strict push-up before you know it. Now, if your first mile or that first push-up doesn't feel big enough of a resolution, it's not doing it for you, I challenge you to sign up for and complete a race. Now, if you're someone who is brand new to running, this is your first time ever doing this, I suggest starting with maybe a 5K or a turkey trot. You know, you're making this resolution at the beginning of the year, you're tackling that turkey trot towards the end of the year, or that 5K. You can also do this middle of the year. We'll get more into that later. If you are someone who used to run and you've kind of taken this long break and now you're getting back into it, I challenge you to find something bigger. 10K, half marathon for more of those intermediate runners, maybe if that's the distance you've wanted to do before. If you're someone who used to be quite advanced at running and you've just taken a long break or put some extra weight on, I challenge you to sign up for that marathon, or maybe your first ultra marathon. Maybe you tackle your first trail race after having only done road races before. Pick something a little bigger than what you think you can do, but something you can definitely accomplish this year. Now, one quick thing I want to say when picking this race is that likely you will be training in elements different than what you'll be racing in. You're going to ask yourself for 3 to 6 months to accomplish this goal, depending on the distance and depending on any extra weight you have to lose before you start training. So take that into account. You may be training in the winter but racing in the summer, or training in the summer and racing in the winter. Depending on where you live, these are all things that matter. Luckily, I made a video on how to pick your first marathon. While I made it around marathons, it really does apply to all races. So I cover everything you'll need to know. We cover altitude, layers, all these things, medals, about picking that first race. So click down in the description, I'll actually link that video there. In the next section, we're gonna talk about how to dial in that nutrition. All of these resolutions are made easier if you can dial in your nutrition around your training. If you guys have been watching this channel for a little while, you know that I am not the expert on this, but Coach Elizabeth is. She actually made a video on basic diet and weight loss tips for runners. This is going to be how to strategize your nutrition in a doable way around your training. And I know that feels like just the epitome of the New Year's resolution. Oh my God, now I have to eat healthy and I have to work out all at once. It feels like this big deal, but I promise you she provides information in a way that's doable on a daily basis. She even has a healthy habits challenge going right now in our Run Experience app that allows you to follow along in real time with her, and it's much easier that way. Now, 3 to 6 months is a long time. That is a good chunk of your year, and you're asking a lot from your body, maybe after having not asked a lot of it before. So what I want you guys to make sure is that you're including strength and mobility in whatever training plan you end up using for this race. It's likely you're gonna need a training plan here, so you wanna make sure that whatever you're using includes all of that, because if you only run, you don't stretch, and you don't do any strength training, you're gonna break down. Your body is going to break down. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So make sure your training plan has that, maybe 2 to 3 strength sessions, not more than an hour each, sprinkled throughout the week, and then mobility almost daily, working on that body. We will get into that a little bit later as well, but make sure your plan has that. I recommend, personally, I'm a little biased, the Run Experience app. We have a brand new training app linked down in the description as well. You can join us there and you can follow along with our training plans. We have something for every distance. We also have, like I said, that Healthy Habits Challenge in there and all the nutrition guidance you need around signing up for and completing that race. My fourth resolution idea takes the least amount of time, but might be the most helpful of all 4. And this one can happen right down on the ground. I'm simply asking you to take care of your body. If you're someone that struggles with little aches and pains, these are kind of chronic, they always go on, you don't even notice them anymore, but you can't remember life without them, this is for you. I'm asking you guys to spend 3 times a week just for 5 minutes, mobilizing or stretching in some way, giving some love to your body that you ask so much of. Even if you're just sitting all day, you're standing all day, these little bad habits can really add up. And when you mobilize, you flush everything out, you make sure those tight spots are gone before they become injuries down the road. Now, you can use so many things. Lacrosse ball, stick, you can even use a broomstick at home, foam roller, one without spikes is also an option. And then this voodoo floss here, or some kind of tight band that you can use for compression or general stretching. I go through tons of ideas in my beginner mobility video that's down in the description with all the other videos linked there. Just 3 times a week, 5 minutes a day, guys. This will make a huge difference whether you're training or not. Those aches and pains kill your motivation. Whether you're training or not, it's going to kill your ability to stick to any of these resolutions. So hang in there. Don't be overwhelmed by all this. You're at this video because I know you guys care and you haven't accomplished whatever it is that you want to do in the past. So this is going to be the year, I guarantee it. Look out in a couple weeks. I'm going to put up another video where I check in with you guys to see how the progress is going and give you some of my favorite tips around sticking to that resolution. In the meantime, click over here. I have a how to start running when you're overweight video where I talk about some tangible things you can do there. I'll catch you guys in there. Have a good one.